So guys, got another ramble for you. Nothing about anything particular. Just wanted to put a video out there, remain consistent and just verbalize, just always verbalize. And was in the office yesterday, had a pretty cool day. I was sociable, I was chatting with people, I was trying to just stay kind of connected with people. Was feeling the nice waves off the streak. That was day 7. I went out after work, drinks with people, and it was a good time. I think just thing to reflect on was just how it can be tricky sometimes to feel like when you struggle to connect with people, how you can feel like you need to be much more of an animated kind of person to keep people engaged. Like I know when you're out sort of like, you're drinking with people and you're just trying to have good conversations, a lot of the times you can feel like the onus is on you to be that stimulation in the conversation. And I think this is kind of like a weird dynamic to just like, conversations and just social human nature. And that's just because you feel like you fill that empty space. And particularly if you've kind of grown up as like a people pleaser, like I have my whole life, you will find yourself wanting to fill that space with value and with, things that people can use to connect with you. And it's a tricky thing because you're just trying to, you're just filling space like needlessly. And, Gandhi said, only speak if it improves upon the silence. And that's a tricky thing to do sometimes. You feel like you want to convey your value and you may not realize that you just have that value within you. And that's, something that's really good to recognize, because otherwise, you're just kind of trying to convince the world, this is my value. And there's no point really. Met a guy who had similar vibes and sort of aspirations in terms of wanting to kind of improve and just like put value out there into the world. He's a musician guy, creative. Apparently he's directed like short films as well, which is pretty cool. A little bit of an unhinged dude, but I kind of like sort of that potential there for speaking with people who in some ways, it's kind of like a little bit risky when you interact with them. Not necessarily I kind of appreciate the riskiness per se, but there's kind of just something about people that push the envelope a little bit in terms of what's considered acceptable. Because, I've obviously expressed my own sort of desires in terms of, say, like approaching women and how that's not necessarily the most socially acceptable thing, but it comes from a place of wanting to both convey value in myself and also obtain value from the world and, the people that you meet. And you obviously wouldn't want to get into like a sort of, utilitarian mindset where you're just after the most benefit for yourself. But I mean, realistically, if you're not kind of going after exactly what it is that's going to benefit you, then you're kind of just stagnant, I can't think of many things that either stagnate you or, I don't know, I feel like things are either going to be, 3 different ways. The universe doesn't care one way or another, but 3 ways that things will affect you, whatever you might do, in the sense of if you do, say you play video games, those video games, they'll probably not improve you. They will in some ways, they'll improve your skills in terms of the video game, which could potentially translate into other skills, decision making, problem solving. I feel like I'm decent at like pattern recognition because I've played so much chess in my life. But I think just, little things like that, like, let's say playing video games, sort of like more likely to stagnate you as a person in terms of your personal development. Whereas pushing the envelope in terms of communicating with people socially, like there really isn't much of a downside in like the sense of just trying to communicate with people or trying to get better at that. Like it does feel like a detriment sometimes if you're, like an introverted person who wants to not talk to people. If you want to hide away from the world, just talking with people feels like it drains you to the point where you feel like there's something wrong with you, and you can't actualize a reality in which you're really, really good at talking to people and you really, really enjoy it all the time. And I guess that's kind of like just the nature of how we work. It's going to vary. So yeah, I think just continuously focusing on, the things that do better you. And I relapsed last night. I won't lie. I'd spoken to a couple girls, and just it was nice, sort of like whole vibe. Just from that, you kind of feel like you need to give yourself some kind of alleviation every now and again, to give yourself recourse to continue on that path, because it's an incredible path, to have that sexual inhibition or resilience to just not indulge, and yet at the same time you also don't want to take life and sort of your responsibilities and things like that super seriously, to the point where it diminishes you and you become so overwhelmed and just serious, and you feel like you're a bloody movie character who's like isolated from the world, and it's like really cool and stuff like that. Like there's no upside to being super mysterious and locked away in that sense. I would just say, in spite of the relapse, I don't feel too bad, to be honest. I feel very much like aware of the differences, between, like, it's unmistakable when you're on a streak versus when you're off it. Like, little thoughts and doubts and things that hold you back start to creep into your mind. And obviously those things can happen when you're on a streak as well. But it's very, very eye-opening when you kind of just sit and you take the time to build a streak, and you kind of feel like a lot of just benefits from it. And so I feel I get back on that eventually, just because it keeps the momentum going as best as possible. But at the same time, regardless of a streak or not, I'd want to just keep making videos and just keep verbalizing, keep building the brand, keep building really everything, and just looking to constantly kind of connect with people. There's never any doubt, like I said, in just connecting with people and just wanting to have open, honest communication and, collaborate essentially. So yeah, it's just, another little spotlight for the books, really. I don't even know what that means, spotlight for the books. There's another one for the books. It's the 13th of October, 2023. And signing off.